Hey, hey, it's another episode of Candace Michelle Views where I give my opinion on what I am viewing on any mainstream media platform that you could think of. I'm not sure if I'm live yet. Let me just make sure. I know it's late, so I don't know if anybody's up with me. Okay, I'm not. So I just wanted to go over some things today. Mostly of. Oh, let me just. So mostly of the response back from Kevin Gates that I got. It seems like when I was talking about him being, you know, when I was saying that he was most likely the same people, it just seems like that he came to New York and it was like this big thing saying like, oh, he has no bodyguard or whatever, and then he was like in the street saying like he's with whatever. So I just felt like that was just indirect because he was like in New York out of nowhere, stating that he was, without anybody. So I just wanted to just post that. Yeah, let me see what day that was. And I know like it's Summer Jam or whatever, but I don't really care about none of that. I don't know if people actually went there because one moment it looks like, everybody's like really tight and up close, and then they show the crowd and it looked like there was a lot of people there, but I don't know who would have went to that, knowing that these people are like really, most of these celebrities are really weird at this point. Hey, Life with Leah, what's up? Well, I'm glad you're here because I know it's really late, but I just wanted to jump up. I didn't want to miss like some of the topics that I wanted to just go real fast. So I just wanted to just jump up here. So thank you for being here with me, girl. So I felt like what's his name? Kevin Gates was basically like in New York, and I am trying to find the video where he was just like saying that he doesn't need security and like it just seems like very threatening. And he was like literally in Manhattan. Now, I don't believe that this is just, I just don't think that that's like a regular person taping. I think a lot of people were taping, but I think more people were like, if they were around, because Manhattan is kind of dead, like at this point. Like, it's not like a lot of people really outside in Manhattan like that no more. Hey, DC Hodge, what's up? I'm glad you up with me. Another late night on Monday, with Ken's Chevy's. So when was this? This was like 6 days ago. So I felt like it was like right after my live, that he was up here, and what was his response about him not having, okay, here it goes right here. So people were saying, I felt like whoever was taping him, it looked like that was real professional because they got all the angles. They got when he was saying like, oh, he has no security. It's like they got that on tape. They got everything on tape so good. So I felt like, this is so fake. But, if he doesn't have security and this wasn't staged, then whatever. But I feel like they do their little runs and then they go in the car or whatever. Usually that's what's occurring. They're not doing too much walking or whatever. But anyway, after that, he has, I guess the next day he has something to say in the car. Well,
I just want to make this post. I've been being real positive with you guys. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I'm not speaking on my behalf. I've been being real positive with you guys. And I just want you to know one thing. I'm not none of these other that walk around with security. If y'all play with anything I love, I'm letting you know now. Hey, not that low. I hope everyone hears me. I'm ready to do a life sentence. I love you all. Y'all have a beautiful day.
yeah, so I just felt like that was a lot, like, because who was even threatening him or anything? Like, everybody seemed really nice. Seemed like a bunch of kids, like young people was jumping around him. Not too many people will probably stop in New York and care. So a lot of people that's probably working and older people. So yeah, it just seemed like a small little crowd. And then that video came out of that where he's like, I'll kill you, like Matalo, whatever. So I just feel like he was just like upset because I was definitely like looking into, how they look just alike and they rap alike, and then they're like, oh no, they're not dating, and she comes out and she sounds exactly like him. So I just felt like that was just him being like upset with like, I'm definitely like saying like, he's wearing bodysuit, playing the role of her, and putting on boobs and stuff like that, because I felt like it was a lot of feminine stuff going on. Like he was working out and getting ready for something. I don't know, slimming down. He wasn't gaining muscle, but just like he was slimming down. So I just felt like, yeah, in my view, in my opinion, I said some things, and then he came back up in New York and said whatever he was saying, but maybe he was talking about whoever. And okay, so next thing is Lil Durk. So I just saw like he was like trending this week as well. So it was just like 2 weeks ago that I was just, not even 2 weeks ago, but I've been like showing like these t-shirts or whatever. Well, not these t-shirts, but like just like this sign. And then I just feel like for the last 2 weeks, I had like these t-shirts, and I was like, oh, I got these 2 t-shirts the last live, and then the last live I just did. So I was like, this week I saw Lil Durk was like trending for his big tattoo that he did on his back. And I just felt like it reminded me. And I'm not saying no one can't do like anything, you know what I'm saying? I just feel like, it's just like so close to when I do something that it gets like, in my opinion, stolen. So I'm just trying to find Lil Durk's back tattoo that was trending. I have a lot of stuff in my phone. I don't know how much I'll go over today. A bunch of irrelevant stuff, but in my opinion, I like to give a lot of fun facts. I think they like fun facts or whatever. Hey Corey Hart, how you doing? And Manuel Hobson, what's up? I'm glad you guys are with me on a late night. So yeah, I'm trying to find Lil Durk's tattoo where I was showing like this shirt that I had, and of course this one I just like I cut it up, and it kind of goes like this and like this. I fixed it up and then put my little logo on it, and I wore it because it had like a stain, but I just fixed the back of the stain. Let me see, with like little hearts. So I just ended up wearing it, and I don't know, I might not wear that one because the other one is a little big. But the point of it is this t-shirt, and here goes Lil Durk's back tattoo. I think I have to flip it. Let me see if I can flip it. Okay. Okay, that should be good. Okay, so Lil Durk's back tattoo. Okay. So it's just weird that it's like, he has the circle and the red, the same thing that I have on my shirt. But instead of putting, no celebrity worshiping, he has like no snitching allowed, and then put a rat in there. But I just felt like, like he definitely stole this from my shirt, because like my shirt is kind of like a movement of me saying, hey, no. And then I guess like this is like a movement as well, like saying like, hey, don't snitch, keep your mouth closed from whatever they all getting locked up and dying for, or fake dying, or, what I think, but who knows what's going on. So I just try to just say whatever, and it's in my opinion, of course, because I don't know anything for sure. But for sure, I know that tattoo reminds me of my t-shirts that I had. So I just felt like it's just weird that they continuously steal stuff. So I just like to just keep record of direct taking, like within the same week or two, like within that same, or, like within that same time frame. I just feel like to keep record, because I just feel like it looks very, It looked like very Stillinish. It looks very Stillinish. You know what I'm saying? Like imagine if he had like the logo like no snitching and it's like no it's like really bro. So instead he puts like the rat and like this is trending. So mine's isn't trending. Mine's isn't trending, but his is trending because I guess my message is not as good as his message. Like he doesn't want you to snitch. But you gotta understand that some of these people that's getting locked up have like child, blah 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 blah. Let them tell it. It was from their own children or whatever. But I mean, it just don't sound good. I wouldn't want no charges. I wouldn't want to be on no list. And a lot of these people, yeah, and then y'all sit there and act like they're like still celebrities and things. And they're stealing from people like me that has a small little tiny platform of cool people that should be heard more. Like I should be heard more and other people should be heard more. But no, they got this guy getting millions of views of some big giant rat on his back. It's not even like a cute rat. It's like really creepy. It's like a nasty creepy rat that he's like, this is a tattoo, but these are not real tattoos in my opinion, and things of that nature. But I just feel like it was very like, man, let me steal from you, let me snatchies. The same thing they done with my name. And this is what's going to interlude into history. Of course, I did want to just briefly talk about them. I don't really have nothing to like compare Kevin Gates to. I did want to try to compare the two, but I didn't. I don't really feel like it. You could clearly see that they look alike or whatever. And I tried to get something where she was talking, but it wasn't easy to find. Right, and I don't, yeah, I don't, because my computer is really slow. So I just kind of want to move on. And I did want to talk about like more going into like the history stuff. Cause like with hey super chunky V hey indigenous ingenious. I hope I'm saying it right. What's up? So yeah, so going into history because of all this stealing, I feel like because of my last name being Jackson, I have been doing a lot of research into like this Jacob thing and the Levi thing and the 12 tribe thing. And it's clear as day when you do any research on any of those topics that the Native American is like literally, if not, well, I wouldn't want to say God, but as they say, one, God is one of his son and he's all one. So if he's like the representation. So I'm going to try to explain as much as I can to prove the fact that, USA Native Americans are number one. And it's like a certain people that they say he can hear. And then also go over like some of the traits of a Native American, like their ability to have telekinesis and things like that. Is like literally in definitions that I have found where it describes perfectly like kind of what I'm trying to explain. And also explain kind of like the names of all, like when they say certain names, it's like literally an extension of like the English language, and it always comes back to the English language. So most of the stuff that's in Hebrew and stuff is kind of like it got hijacked. And I'm gonna try to explain it as best as I could, but it really most of the Hebrew stuff translates into English like perfectly. And when you translate most of these Hebrew names, it leads back to like royal people that actually lived. And when you look at these dates of when they lived, like and I'm gonna try to explain that as best, but it's common sense that a lot of things are getting stolen and we're getting ripped off, and it's like it's obvious, right? And as you can see with like when they're explaining the Israelites explaining like the Levites and like the Haitians and things like that of them being in the high priesthood, they explain that God chosen and picked them to be in a certain position or whatever. So, and I'm going to explain to you who God should be and who that person might have been. Because let's say God, no, they're probably talking about an actual person, and I'm gonna explain that. So anyway, and I'm not talking about God. I'm talking about like the person he put into place, the one tribe, the one, not saying the only, but the only people that they can correspond with him. If that makes any goddamn sense. Like when you speak about Moses, that name translates in English to a specific name, and then when you look at that specific name, it goes to a specific royal family. And a lot of it goes back to Scotland, and a lot of it goes back to, and I don't know why. If you ask me, I'm going to try to explain my best way to why it goes back there, or why these people carry those names, because I tried to explain the Uncle Tom cabin story before. So if you kind of look into most of the stuff that I breezed through, you'll kind of understand where I'm going and why I'm in these directions of explaining history. So yeah, so basically the Bible is like so let's say Roots basically stole the Bible swag, right? Like how Lil Durk stole my swag, right? Let's say like Roots was basically a replication of what the Bible was trying to do, explaining a whole family line of not like some guy that just popped up out of nowhere from Africa and is lost, but from a royal family in a royal bloodline. So, and it kind of explains not really like a royal family, but like kind of like the beginning of a person. So, mostly everything that you could think of kind of leads back to America. So, I don't want people to even think for 1 second I'm being Africa with it, because we're not going to be in Africa at all. It's all going to be in America. Just like in New York and stuff, like we have 360 Adams Street, and 360 Adams Street here is the highest Supreme Court, where like most of like the federal cases, if you're doing drug cases, you get the RICO case, whatever. In New York, you'll be going to 360 Adams Street. So it's just like I tried, and then in that area, what has transitioned in that area became Dumbo area as well. So you got to understand who tried to come in that area as well at some point, way after us, because we already know that Dumbo is not something old. It's like a new, because over in that area in downtown Brooklyn is very old, and that's where like the 5 Points and all that stuff, all the fighting was about. Long Island and stuff is connected to Brooklyn as well. So Long Island is connected to Brooklyn as well. So most of like the Long Island stuff is like all connected anyway. But I'm not really going to talk about that stuff right now. I really want to stick to like day one. Like I don't want to start with like certain people. Like let's say like Elohim, right? So a lot of people could use the word Elohim as of like as if it's the word God, right? But most of these names and stuff is just like referencing God. Like it's kind of like you're saying like, oh, he's coming, he's here, God, like actually God, right? They're not actually saying Elohim is God. So Elohim is the beginning. It's like I said, if you put it upside down, it kind of spells out whole, because it's like one in one, like day one of he like, because El means he, or and then it's oh him. So Elohim is like he oh him. Like you ever heard them speak like they're at, like, I don't know, like oh dear Almighty or whatever, like or Almighty here he comes, and then they'll be talking about somebody presenting somebody, right? And here they kind of give an example, like that's what they do. Like, but they'll say like as if the prime minister, but instead of saying the prime minister in this sentence, it's really meaning like God, right? I'm trying to find some stuff. I got so much stuff in here. It's like kind of crazy that I would try to even make stuff make sense. So let's just explain, like, right. So a lot of people will be asking, like, hey, what does God mean? Like, and some people will be like, oh, the highest or the whatever. So some like that's not the question. The question is like, what does it mean? So if it's like capitalized, right? Like CIA. If I ask you what the CIA means, right? You don't necessarily have to tell me like, oh, well, they go and profile people around the world, and that's not what they like. I'm not asking like what they do. I said, what does it mean? Like, what does it stand for? So it would stand for Central Intelligence Agency or something like that, or like the FBI stands for Federal Bureau Investigations, and they do specific things, and they do so. It's the same thing as God. When they say like, what does God mean? It actually has a representation of God, capitalized, right? It's capitalized. It's not like lowercase. When you put lowercase, it's not the correct spelling. So we got God capitalized, and it stands for greatest of dignity. Dignity. I don't know if you guys could see that because I think some of my stuff comes crisscross. So let me just do it both ways just in case if it needs to be flipped. So so God stands for uh, greatest of dignity, and it does not pluralize it, right? It literally says this deity is the greatest of, just like saying like a boat is the greatest of all time. They're saying this is the greatest of deity. Okay, if you could understand that. So then, when people usually say like, oh, what would God mean? That should be purposely the correct answer to say, well, it represents the title of the greatest of deity. Well, and it doesn't pluralize it. It just has one. It just says deity. Okay, so if you could understand that, right? It's very straightforward. So you got to understand from there, right? Of Adam, I already explained the Adam scenario, and the Adam scenario just proves my point about with Jesus Christ being all the way in Mexico, because as I said, with Adam being from the Garden of Eden, right? Which I believe is Edinburgh or whatever, like whatever you want to call it. And these places that they are saying is from, they're really just stealing. As you can't realize that they're stealing everything from us and they're not even acknowledging us. Not the Israelites. No one is acknowledging us. And they keep saying like, oh, it's this person, it's that person, when they know a lot of information and they could explain it way better. But they trying to make us the only people that they want to. This is all still a plot. Like this, I feel like everything that's happening is coming in full circle of what Cain was planning in the first place to become number one, even though he's supposed to be, he's not number, he was not chosen. But this is a plot on still trying to make us now come full circle and now say he is number one, that he was chosen, and this is not the case. Right, so let me explain the plot and the theory of what I believe is still in action and everything is going as planned. So with Adam, like I said, Adam at some point got kicked out because I believe he was messing with Eve. And if you look up Eve, it's going to be a Asiatic looking person. I don't know why, or not saying all the way Asiatic, but somewhat of a French maybe look, or a swaftier is going. So if you look into saying the features of, people will give you that information. They'll try to give you a feature of her and a feature of him. So I don't know why she would be more of this feature and he would be more of a different feature of Adam, but that's just the way how I look at it, right? So Eve bites the apple, which is opening, they say, Pandora's box, right? Which, like, if you look into Dora and Pan, you already see what's going on there when they bite into the apple, the genius or whatever of Atom. All right. So I've already explained when they get kicked, they kind of get, not don't get kicked out. Yeah, they get kicked out, and I believe that when they get kicked out from Adam area, it goes to Adam Town, which is like Mississippi area, where it's like Adam Town, Pocahontas, all this other stuff going on in that area. It's still in the same area, but he has moved down and migrated with Eve, and there's stuff going on one side where you're like literally getting towards little Louisiana and stuff side of the, at some point the French comes and purchase it. But of course, this is not at this point yet. So it's getting more Frenchy and then Spanishy, going black. Well, not black. I would say this is still the bronze. We are still in brass. Okay. Jesus and stuff is literally brass, and they literally give a cherry. They say like a cherry color, because if you're looking at an apple and you bite in an apple, it literally gives you like a yellowish color in there. And if you think of brass or whatever, it's like a yellow. They give you a definition of a yellow tone, just like they give you the definition of a Native American would be a yellow person or whatever. So we're still on the right track, right? So of the biting of the apple, because Adam and them will be more of whatever copper tone brass people, and then it will, when you're going more towards the west and getting in the hotter Texas, you're going to get a darker version of us, which is now you're getting into cherry. You're still a red but very dark person, but you still have your brass and your red tones, right? The red tones are very important, and I won't want to stop emphasizing it enough. Once you get out of the darkest of red tones towards like the edge of Mexico where that statue is, you're kind of like becoming not saying something else, but I'm just explaining that it's just like we're not no longer claiming it. That's what I'm trying to explain. We're no that Native Americans are no longer literally claiming that anymore. At these points of this red situation going on, this brass, yellow, red tone situation going on, copper situation going on. All right, so now we're getting to with like Jesus Christ, right? So Jesus Christ is literally when we saw the names, it's like they say it's the British and the England like literally interluing somehow. Like I believe this is at some point when because at some point it became Great Britain, right? Before Great Britain, that's where the Blackfoot and a lot of the Blackfoot Indians resided at, up top towards like Canada, coming towards like Detroit and stuff like that, right? So before it, when it became Great Britain, you got to understand who is Great Britain, where does people from Great Britain come from, because they're called British. So when they're in America, they're British. So we gotta understand where Britain people will come from, and you gotta see that it literally traces back to Australia. Okay, and I will show you on a map. And I've been right all this time about the Omega people from the back of Latin America, and literally how their waters and their currency would get them to Australia, and it's kind of making sense on if you become a darker beyond the cherry part, the black cherry, right? And I tried to make an example, right? Because I know people probably looking like this doesn't make any sense, but in my mind, it makes sense of what I'm trying to explain. And none of it really matters, but it kind of matters because it explains things and it describes things. And if you narrow it down, you'll understand why they do that, and so you can understand what's going on. So anyway, let me try to explain stuff as much as I can. Okay. So they already kind of like, I'm gonna show you Cumio. I don't have no video of his, but he did show a picture. Now I don't know if it needs to be twisted, so I'll show this first and then twist it around. So you already see when you getting towards the Asian, when you getting towards Latin America, you're getting back there. You're gonna get an Aboriginal features. You're gonna start getting these Aboriginal features. And it could become now a lot of colors as well. Like, let's just not make it seem like it's just going to be swarthy dark people. When they get to Australia, it becomes a albino situation going on. And from albino to this, and then you get them islander people that are very light, very light skinned. Island people like the Trinidad lady that I showed you from 90 Day, what you call it? Like she's very light, maybe not. I don't know if she's bleaching skin or not. Anyway, so most of let me see where I can go from there, right? So we're gonna say like these people are coming from like Latin, could be, they'll say, oh, this person is from Africa. Not necessarily. This lady could be Spanish. This lady could be, so it's starting to get more like to the central part, right? Central Park, and then you got to understand when you get to Colombia, when you get past the central part, like you're in Latin America. So so let's stick with Cain, right? So if Cain is he's like a dark color or whatever, comes out a darker color than Abel or whatever. They say Abel died, but I could he, if they know, we know that Abel was married and they gave him the prettier, they gave these stories about, so who knows what happened with if Abel had children or whatever. They say no, but they also say that we were, we don't exist, but I know we're like considered dinosaurs, because when you look up the brass era, because I said, is there a brass era? Because, they depict Jesus as brass. And then, the Israelites would say, well, he's like brass, but he's like burnt. So he's dark skinned, right? So he's dark skinned like me. So it's like, bruh, they say if he's like brass, right? So that's already like a yellow tone, like a yellow tone coming from like what it gives you so many different tones of brass that it could be from this color to that color, right? Like as far as brass goes. So, when they say like burnt, when I showed you them other passages when they're like in Africa or like in Kush and Kemet, they don't say like burnt. They say burnt. They say butcher could of the burnt. They don't say like burnt. So when they say this, that the British is intermixing with the English with Jesus or whatever this is going on, because at some point they wanted to kill Jesus, and these stories. You gotta understand they're all the same stories. When you look into it and you really have an idea, they're all the same stories as with Moses and Josiah and Joshua. Moses and Joshua. So Joshua is the Hebrew version. No, yeah, it's the Hebrew version of Jesus' name. So because Jesus took over Moses and led the people, but they in the Bible they have a whole verse for Joshua explaining that Joshua is the one that took over, because it's the same person, obviously, but just in a different tongue. So whoever is telling the story, that's the name you're going to get. Okay, so Jesus could also be James. Okay, so and James is the real name of the royalty that you're getting from these stories. So they'll give you Joshua, and they'll give you in Hebrew, and they'll give you Jesus in most likely we'll say a Creole dialect, more like a Spanish French dialect, right? Because it's kind of go hand in hand. It's Latin, it's Latina and Latino. So when you get like the O's and the I's, you're going to be in more like Italy, and when you get the A's and the like the Marias, you're in like Latin America, and when you get like the Leonardos or whatever, you're more in Italy, but it kind of goes hand in hand, if you understand what I'm saying. So because of the vowels. So yeah, anyway, I'm not sure what I was explaining. So anyway, yeah, so James' name leads to Mary's name, and Mary is the daughter of let me see. I can't. I know, I'm all over the place as usual. So as you can see, like with the color brass, let me show you guys. With the color brass, yep. So it says right here that it's like a yellowish color. So it could be varied from like a tan. They just want to make sure that you get those notes, like those gold notes, those copper, because it also will say like copper, as you can see up here. It says it has copper and zinc, and zinc is a very important, so you have gold, copper, so somewhere in like this brass coloring, right? So mind you, Jesus is coming from a bloodline already. So Jesus is coming from a bloodline of the native people, that because I'm going to try to show you how native people are going to sink in with the coloring and things of that nature. So he's moving in with the British people that are coming from British Columbia in Oceania, which is Australia, and they have Britain over there. They have New Britain over there. It's an island. It's all like a sea area. It's called Solomon's Island or something like that. So anyway, and they have like a treaty, and they're included into World War II. And the dates don't match up at all. So they'll talk about this prince, because I'm trying to show you, like, most of these Bible people are, because it was translated in Hebrew. I believe that it was originally always English, and obviously, so at some point they invited like 100 priests or whoever upstate or wherever they went, and decided to say, hey, this dialect is going to have to be in other people's texts and everybody's text, because we're going to have to spread this word, okay? And we the only person that be saying, what's the word? You see what I'm saying? Like, what's the word? Whatever. So we got to spread this word, whatever. So they're spreading the word in different languages, and these languages, for some reason, are changing the names because these people cannot pronounce our English as well. That's why it's a different language. So I'm going to try to explain to you, like when people say Yahweh, it's just like it's a reference of saying Yah or Jah or J, like Jehovah. It's Jeh or Jah or Yah. All the same different dialect of trying to say God. So I try to explain people like when you say God, when you say in Hebrew, when you're saying okay, let me see. When you're saying like Elohim, right? So I try to like explain it with Elohim, right? I don't know. I'm gonna be all over the place, but hopefully you guys could get it. And I'm also going to show you what they named the Native Americans, so you can understand. It's kind of like them saying God, because that's how you pronounce it. All right. So anyway, right. Let's see this. I mean, I don't know if this is working, but I believe that I have to flip it. So you see how it says, it talks about the Elohim, right? So they're basically just saying that Elohim is the first word used in scripture. So they're saying it's used to designate God. Do you know what designate mean? I went to the description of designate, right? Let's go to the description of designate. Because you got to linger on to every word. And when you linger on to every word, it'll answer literally all these questions of like where people are getting this dialect from. So Elohim is to use to designate God, right? They're not saying Elohim is God. They're saying Elohim is designated. So that means that word is designating him, right? So designate means to appoint, to specify a position. So if Elohim is specifying a position, is basically saying, look at a sentence, an example. He was designated as prime minister. So it's basically saying like Elohim is designated as God. Like they're basically saying they're giving an a point of a specific position. So if you could look at where it's saying Elohim is from one, Genesis 1 divided by 1. It's in the beginning when created heaven from the very first day. So when you break up the word El, right, it means he. It means he, right? I don't know where I have that at. It should be all together, but it's not. Right, so it means he, right? And then when you break up the word, all right, I don't know. I can't find it where it says he. But you should know that L means he without me having to literally find it. So anyway, L means he, and then it says oh him. So it's like I'm saying he oh him, like here thee, like he's coming. This is day one, like here he is. You know what I'm saying? And it's like and oh him means basically like almighty. Like I don't know where it's at and what I just did, but anyway. Yeah, so I don't know where. So it says as term of L. They said L is used. Okay, so it's in here. It says L is used in compound. The other word as Elion, and Elion is of the Most High. So they're basically just giving saying here he is day one. They're announcing him because they're is used as a designate of God, which is a point of a position. Okay, like here's the prime minister, here's God. So with Yahweh as well, with Yahweh, it's a conjugated word of Yah and Wah, right? Which Wah is just they say Yah is just like is from Hallelujah. So they take off from Hallelujah, and now you have Yah, and then Way means Most High. So Yahweh means Yah being Yah meaning like saying God, but in their language. So instead of saying it with a G, they're saying it like with a Y, just like with Jah or whatever, or with Yah, or when they say Jehovah, it's like the witness. They're being a witness to something. They're not saying he's actually the God. Okay, they're saying it's 7 names for God. So here goes Mary. When you look up Mary, she's actually the queen they're saying of Scott. And then this is her son, I believe, James. This is supposed to be who is this supposed to be? Yeah, James was the only son of Mary, right? But when you look at these pictures, you already, and this is the time frame where they get real funny, right? So, and I wish I could explain this as best as I can. Um, where they kind of like you can't account for 200 years. So people think it's really 2,000 years, but it's really just 200 years. Because remember, I try to explain to y'all when it comes to the nano, when you go past the zero, going into the negatives, and they become nano instead of being in mega. And like instead of being in whole, instead of being whole numbers, they're in the negative whole numbers. And that's like scientific method scale, and it'll bring you times 10, right? So if they're saying it's 2,000 years ago, it's probably, if you divide it by 10, be 200 years ago. So most of these kings and these people with their names, it was like in the 16 something or six, comes from the 1600s, and then they'll skip out of nowhere and be in World War I and World War II. So that's kind of like 200 years not accounted for, where they go from the 1600s to the 1800s, like from the 16 something, late 1600s to the late 1800s out of nowhere. Okay, and then all these royal people, and if you could look at King James don't look white. She don't look white, like they don't, this look like an aboriginal person that's coming up from the old Trishina, the islands. And this is where they're getting, they're coming, these are island people. And then look at the sun. The sun is, and I'm not saying that they would look exactly like this, because we know that they whitewash things, and they probably won't look, because look at the sun, like, so they look ethnic. They don't look very white. And they're saying this is Mary and this is James, her son. So he was born in Edinburgh. So this is the same place that George took over, and I believe that Edinburgh is Eden, the Garden of Eden. They try to say it's a lost garden in Scotland, right? But I believe that all this stuff happened in America, because at some point, with, like I advised, with the Uncle Tom cabin, they was in America with the Underground Railroad and things of that nature, where they was trying to, he was a conductor. The black man was a conductor. His name was something son. I don't, if I try to Google it. And they buried him in Scotland because he went to visit he's supposed to have visited the Queen, but a lot of people said that he was an imposter. That this guy, Uncle Tom Cabin. So all this is all in the same time frame. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. Even though they're saying this is the 1600s, but with Uncle Tom, it lands you in 1850, which we all know this is around the time frame when they really came over here. You know what I'm saying? And this is this lady named Harriet Beecher. The lady named Harriet Beecher, I believe, is the real Harriet Tubman, because she was a part of the conduct. She was part of the conductor. She was with the conductor, and I forget what the black man name is. I'm trying to find his name. And because he was the conductor of the railroad, helping people get from wherever to like Nova Scotia. And we know that Scotland people went to Nova Scotia. So we're helping Scottish people here in America and Canada, because I told you the Ottomans and them came and made it Montreal real fast. Maybe because they're reflecting us as we're being Israel's, and them making Montreal when they came from being Ottoman. When they were not Montreal until they came to America. Okay? And these are like the French Montanas and these people that want to be Israelites, but they're literally mirroring and stealing with no problem. And I'm not saying that Joshua is not like a reference. I'm saying that it's in your language. It's in your language. You're saying exactly what I'm saying, but in your language. So I try to use that as an example, like saying, like if I was saying blue, right? But you don't speak English. So I'm saying blue, but you have no idea what blue means. So at some point, I find the color blue and I point to it. And say you speak Spanish and you say, oh, azul. So now this person is saying azul while I'm pointing to the color blue. So I'm going to say, oh, okay, azul. Well, blue. I'm saying blue. Now, don't blue and azul kind of sound alike, but they're not spelled alike at all? It's because somebody's trying to pronounce something that you're trying to pronounce, but it's not coming out as well, and it's fine. It's just that's the way your tongue and your language is going to take you. When if I cannot mimic a Chinese person and think that I'm really giving out some real like I could be like I'm Italian and be trying to be funny, but I don't think I'm really giving them no real words. Like I don't think I'm giving them no, and that's the same thing. Like they could try to be like blue, but if their mouth is not really wording it right, they're not gonna say blue. They're gonna be very uncomfortable trying to mimic my word. And if they feel more comfortable saying azul and it means blue to them, just like it means blue to me, then okay, we're still saying the same thing, but you're saying it in your language. And the thing is, it all derives from English. They're not nothing superseding it. That's not in Greek. That's not in this. That's not in Hebrew. That is in English. Okay, and only people that speak clear English is the copper brass people, right? So now I'm not going to say black anymore because we're not actually black, okay? We know who the black people are. It's the Caucasus. I showed you the area of Venezuela where they have the Caucasus, maybe because they're a little bit racist back there, where they're calling the Caucasus people, where you're saying where all these Haitians come from. Duh, I tried to explain that to y'all, right? So that's how they get into that border because they're really from here. They're from back, and that's why they're trying to explain to you the 12 tribes. But I'm going to explain to you that everybody's not part of tribes. And if you look up Solomon's Island, you're going to get the Caucasian, the Chinese person, the melanated Asian, the Polynesian, and whoever else is in those categories. Those people that mix like the Zulu Nation and things of that nature, they're not of. They are not. I don't care where they came from, and of course, I believe they came deriving from when Cain went past that equator, and instead of him coming, he went black, and then he went from black, very very dark black, and then he went to white at some point. Because when you're doing, in my opinion, when you're doing drugs and stuff, and if you're going back then, you find coke and stuff like that, right? And you're doing drugs and you're having. I'm not saying this is what everyone was doing. But if you're doing whatever you want to do and you having offspring, right? Things could be defective. Things can happen. You could have a white ass, you could have a little lamb or whatever. You can have whatever the hell you want back there. And things can happen when you're not having the right nutriments, like split cliff this or this, blah, blah, blah. Extra bigger lips, bigger bulge eyes. I don't know. You're not getting enough air in the atmosphere up there. Bulge your eyes. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, things of that nature where things derive, a lot of sicknesses, of course. And this is like the asylum. When people come here, they get great health care. They get this, they get that. They come and rake up. They come with a shopping cart with benefits. And I don't even get access to none of that stuff. And I gotta work my ass off. And a lot of white Americans experience that as well because they stolen our names and they want the benefit of us being here. And they don't understand that it comes with a toll of, nigga, you can't stop working. Okay, because or you're gonna be dealing with a certain, the thing is a system, and the system was being in place. It hasn't even been 100 years good of the system being in place. So this is all rapidly happening. Okay, I believe that most of these real names and the names of the Bible stuff like Micaiah means Michael in English. Let's say what other names like Jacob means Jack, and like let's look at like the Jack and Boa. When you look at the Jack and Boas, it just means Jack means he, and Jack and it reminds me of saying Jackson, and this is what I'm trying to say. I think that that's the seed because the boa it's like specific definitions to it. Like they're saying the boa is like let me show you the definitions of this, okay? And so it's very confusing a little bit of what I'm trying to explain. Yeah, so and then Moses would be Maurice. And if you look up Maurice, he's also of royalty. Michael is of royalty. All these names are of royalty, but in Hebrew, in the Bible name, it will be those names. But when you put it in English, they lead you to royal families, and these names are royal, okay? So it's not by accident, I don't think. I think they put it in different names so they won't realize that the English speaking people in these names that they have they're putting in these little areas like Great Britain and things of that nature. But I don't know. I'm gonna try to explain it as best as I can because the dominant language of English is not over in those countries. They speak more dialect of French and things of that nature. So the biggest widespan of English speaking people would be over here. And when you come over here, you have to know English. You don't have to know English over there. Okay. So it's just common sense. And then when you go over towards Latin, you got to know Spanish. It's just common sense. And when you go over there, you got to know French. And if you go in Africa, I advise you know French or some type of dialect, or So anyway, when I listen to the Israelites or whatever they're saying, they keep harassing the white man and then calling him the red man, right? So I think that's just like a sneaky blow, a sneaky little punch, because the Haitians think that they are in control of the Levi priesthood, but they got to understand that they said that they put God, and God put them in charge, and God said that they can't own shit. They just gave them some cities. They didn't give them all the cities. They gave them some cities, maybe like the Louisiana Purchase, maybe Chicago. I don't know. I don't think they gave them Chicago. I think that they took Chicago, because when they say found it, it sounds like they stole it, because you can't find something that's fully equipped with a city and you founded it. There's no finding anything. How did you purchase it? Because you didn't find anything. All this stuff is already built out. All right. And it was God's people, right? So I keep saying God, 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 right? So, and I wasn't wrong about the Henderson thing either, right? Remember how I kept saying like Taraji P. Henderson said her grandfather was a pioneer that went out that way. So, they show you right here that it's called Henderson Field, where this is in World War II, where we went over there and in the Solomon Islands, the same place that I'm talking about that creates Caucasians, Melanesians, poly. I'll try to look it up for you. The Solomon Islands, of all the people that come deriving from there, from Australia, coming from New Guinea and New Britain. So the British people, when these people come to America, they're British, and these are the darker people that's no longer in red tint. They don't no longer have red tint. They'll be more blue blood, like blue black, not red black. Like, because we have our own dark skinned people, and then it's a separate people of the Solomon Islands. We're not islanders, okay? And these people follow different kind of laws, so they are not in this bracket. They would not be in none of this hue color bracket of color. This is brass. This is a brass where it goes from like one color to the next, and then if you go further out and start mixing, you could get like a very dark hue where it's like burnt, where it's giving you a cherry dark, right? But then you get to the Solomon Islands, where you get in these island Pacificers, where they'll be considered black, more of black color, like with blue hints of blue. Okay, just like the movie with Master P, where he had a movie called Black and Blue. Okay, and I can show you the yogurt, not to be like, see how the yogurt says black cherry, and then the other one says blue. It says blueberry. Okay, so it's like a different, both like the same, going to the. It's like they're both going into one, and then when you cross the equator, it goes into the next one, to blue, right? And then you're kind of like in the islands, and you're doing like other things, right? So here goes. Okay, here goes. It's the jacking and bowing thing, right? So as you can see, I feel like jacking is like kind of saying like Jackson, because like Jackson, Jacob, James, all of that's Jack, all of that is like the same name, right? But in different languages. So in this context, I think this is like Greek, or let's see. But you could see that they say according to the Bible, Boaz and Jachin were two copper, brass, or bronze pillars which stood on the porch of Solomon's temple, the first temple of Jerusalem. Yer-e. We are the brass. Like, who is the brass people? Who's the copper? Where would Jerusalem be? Okay? And I'm going to further explain to you how, boy oh boy, we are the copper. And because they say, I said, well, was there ever a brass age, right? I said, was there ever a brass age? They say no. because it was before. Oh, wait till you see what it says, right? So anyway, we're gonna get to that. Let's get to that. So anyway, so I said, well, what jacking means? What jacking means in Hebrew? Because I know this is all in Hebrew, right? Because they're taking over the English and saying Hebrew is the dominant when it's English to Hebrew. Because this Hebrew is like probably a French, Creole, Spanish, a Hebrew, a brew of he, right? Trust me. So I said, what does jacking mean in Hebrew, right? Because you gotta ask the right questions to Google, and Google is not biased at all. Google don't know what about nothing. They just trying to give me the answers of what I'm asking. I'll be asking mad questions till I get till I say, I'll be like, you know what I'm asking, and Google try to play games with me, but I'll be like, you know what I'm asking, and they finally give me a good explanation. I'll be like, that's what I was asking, right? So anyway, so I said, well, what does jacking mean in Hebrew? So jacking means literally heat. That's it. And then look how they put in parentheses, it says God. Because God is a direct descendant of his son. They are all one, right? So that's why they will put this nigga in parentheses, because everything is mathematical. So they put that in parentheses, and if you know your mathematics, you have to add your parentheses in first. So God comes first, and then here comes he, jacking, which is kind of like jacking your pee off, right? Like jacking, right? And mind you, I say it like that because this is what boas mean, right? So let's look at what boas mean. Okay, so also they say, so the jacket, the jacket and the boa, and they say it means strength and beauty. So they both, the proper people, they stand for strength and beauty, right? So anyway, so they say so God, so basically jacking is he, it's the God, right? It's the man. So this is basically going to be like a phallus worshiping situation. It's like a phallus worshiping situation, because jacking will be the man, and then boas would be his balls, right? And only why I know it will be his balls is because, as you see, the meaning of boas, I don't know, where is it at? That's annoying. It should be in here. Is boas right there? Okay, boas is at the bottom. So, and they say, I say, well, what does boa symbolize? And they say, and in the Book of Ruth, the character of boa represents the accumulation. Okay, so now we got to understand it's not a person, right? They didn't say he. They didn't say he. They said boas will symbolize. So now we got jacking as a he, and boas working together as accumulation of gods. Now, you already saw that jacking is God. Jacking is God in parentheses, and he's he. So they're saying an accumulation of jacking, basically, right? So Boaz is the symbolization of accumulation of jacking, providence, but providence for two destitute widows. So this accumulation of Boaz, this accumulation of him, of he, is going to be saved for two destitute widows at the center of the story. Now let's see what accumulation means, right? Because Boa is accumulation of God, right? He's accumulation of God, right? So what does accumulation mean? Just like how we said with Elohim, it was appointing, right? It was appointing he. It was appointing he, and we know he is God, right? Because Genesis 101, if you divide one into one, it makes one whole. So one whole. And if you turn Elohim upside down, it spells out kind of like whole if you take the I out. So you got to understand, they're just basically saying this is day one of everything he about to do. They're introducing him like, hear he oh him, here he is, here die he, or whatever, how they used to speak back in the days, like here die servant, or whatever. Here's thy king, here's thy God, whatever. So accumulation basically means, if you could see, it says it's reach. Accumulation is a reach of a climax. Okay, that's one definition right there. So we already understand where I'm going with that, and where that the phallus worshiping is happening right here. Okay, so yeah, it's a climax or a point of the highest development. The tensions of, and now they put in the sentence, the tensions of a disorder which accumulated in the World War II. So it's something's accumulating. Is at the highest point. It's about the climax, okay? So you can understand what that is about, right? All right, great. So let's continue on. So yeah, okay. Yeah, so as you can see, as they say, Yeshua translates to Jesus. So just like when you say Yahweh, you're just saying God. You're saying like like Yah is God in Hebrew, and then Way is like Almighty, like God Almighty. So you're saying Yahweh means basically translating in English. When you translate it in English, it means God Almighty, right? Because God is Yah. And then, of course, Yeshua will be his son, and that's in Hebrew. But when you put it in Spanish or whatever, or French, it's Jesus, right? Or Jesus. And then when you put it in English, it's Joshua. And of course, we have the book of Joshua. Joshua has a whole verse in the Bible because it's in English, and he is of royalty. He will be of a royal family. If you could look right here, the name Joshua, right? Let's see if I could find it. Look at the name Joshua here. Now I know it's a little off, but look at the name Joshua. When I told you about jacking, so this is he jacking. The son of Jacob, whatever, right? Because I believe Jacob is Solomon. I believe Solomon is just a different word for him, right? Like a French or Spanish word. Because Solomon means like only like one man, like he is. So it's also just referencing to like a Jack, like the son of like Joshua Jackson. You see what I'm saying? Of the Bible and things of that nature, right? So I'm not too far off. He's a Canadian actor, right? But I'm like, hey, where would he get this name from, right? So the funny thing is, his father name is something. Look, and he's from British Columbia. Now, mind you, British Columbia was more by Alaska. And these are the same people that I'm telling you are coming from Solomon Island, that where we had the British Columbia people was the ones trying to enslave people from where we were. And then the Moses Lake is by Washington. It's right up. You think it's a coincidence that is right above let me show you. You think it's a coincidence that is right above the British Columbia, where Moses Lake is? Moses Lake. Because mind you, they was trying to kill all the firstborn sons because of the lineage of the sperm, because of his, so they wanted to start AI. AI can stand for artificial intelligence and also artificial insemination. So they wanted to start artificial insemination and using the woman, but using the black blue blood instead of the copper man blood, right? So entering where the name of Washington, and I'm going to get into that because Washington will be more of like the British Columbia coming over and taking over in the area, right? So I don't know if I could. Yeah, so the Moses Lake in Washington, if you look at the map, is right above the British Columbia, is what I'm trying to explain to you of where they're stealing, because Washington is not an American. Like this is like more British, and I already told you, British people they're not even from America. They're from Britain, which is not really. Unless I could try to show you that as well, but you see, this is not working fast enough for me. Let me see. Yeah, anyway, so let me go back. So he's basically, this is panning out. It's panning out right where, so he gets the name from his mother, which is weird because you would think he'd take his father name, right? But his father last name is something else. I wish I can show you, right? So anyway, the mother will land you back. I said, well, her last name is Jackson, and it lands you back into. Okay, yeah, I can't find none of his information. So yeah, his father name is Carter. His father's last name is Carter, but yet they take on the mother's last name, which is weird, don't you think? So it's like, why are you taking on this last name Jackson? But of course, this Jackson name will probably get you a lot of benefits and stuff like that, right? So that's probably why. Um, yeah. See how this is moving too slow? I'm not gonna be able to deal with this. That's why I don't use it. So yeah. So his father name is John Carter. His mother name is Fiona Jackson. So when I was like, oh, what's going on with his mother? And clicked on her name. She's from. Let me see if I can move faster because that one is loading. Nobody got time for that to load. Okay. Fiona. I cannot spell. Okay. Just know that. Okay. Let's see if that comes up. This is why I do it on my phone because this is taking too long. Okay. So she was born in Dublin, Ireland. So there we go. Titanic. Jack is sinking and Rose is living. Jack is sinking and Rose is living. So the Jackson name, my father's name, link you back to Virginia, right? So I'm not surprised that this name is getting stolen because, I doubt anybody from Ireland, Dublin last name is really Jackson. Like not really. Like not really. It's not really. And then the father then went on and took on a name. His name is John, which sounds very generic. Like they just came over here on a John's, a John Doe, Social Security, name. And, took on the name Carter Jackson. They always like to hyphenate. And they like to hyphenate because they don't like the fact that they have to use that name here, you know? Hi, Whitney. Whitney Views. So I do want to, if you have a page, always just let me know because I always try to shout out people that have pages. I believe it's a lot of people that do have pages on my chat. So if you want, you can always try to click on their name and check out their channels. A lot of people have cool channels. Yeah. So I don't really have. I have a lot more. I'm trying to go over now the Native American people, right? So if you look at the 12 tribes, you'll see that the Native American tribe is spelled GAD, right? In all capital letters, which as you know, it will be standing for something. No other tribe has three capital letters like our tribe has three capital letters. Okay, I don't want to make it seem like we're super cool, but we are super cool. So Native Americans, their color will be a red color. This guy right here does not exist, man. This is an Asian weirdo, and when you see why, that's why he got all that feathers on his hair. That's why they don't talk much because they're artistic. And then I'm gonna show you that they draw shit. They draw stuff and you would think, oh, this is what they do. They draw stuff people out of history. They play tricks all day. These Asian people play tricks all day. They don't know how to stop playing all day. That's all Asian people do. So understand that they playing all day without information, right? So let me show you some of the artistic things that they do. Okay. So they could basically do whatever they want with these pictures, right? That's all they showing you. They're just showing you the skin. Like, look how we did things. Look how easy it is for them to draw the Lady of Scott or something like trying to make them look more white. And they can't even make them really they can't even really make them look white. They got them looking all ethnic with their hair, looking all, ethnic. Okay, so this is how easy it is to just change things and play around with things. Because this is what they do. They're like, who does that? Them. They do that. Okay? So they're not a red color. If you look at these people, they're not a red color. They're of like how you see Golden Beauty and stuff. It's nothing golden. She doesn't have a brass tone or copper tone. It's a Pacific color. It looks like this. It looks like me. It's like a very red copper. And I'm going to show you, like, they give you explanations of the Native American. They say that we have, so if you look at GAD, GAD literally stands for when you pronounce God, you pronounce it. They want to make sure that you pronounce God. So yeah, he stole our name. That's what I was trying to get with him, right? So Jackin is, it stands for he. Let me see what I have here. Okay, I believe Solomon Temple is just a replication of what they had going on in America, which is them talking about the bloodline of Jacob or Jack or whoever, James, of these royal people that I'm naming, where you could put a date to. And when you get to the dates, it's always in the 1600s. And then they get you to World War One and World War Two. So it just lets me believe that they skipped 200 years somewhere down the line between the 1600s and the 1800s. We just skipped 200 years that's not accounted for. They keep bouncing back and forth with that time frame. Okay, and it's maybe because of the different time frames that we live in. It's possible that they believe at their time frames that it could have been something when our time frames was calculating something else. And somewhere in the middle is where we got the 200 gap. So anyway, yeah, so let me see where I'm going. Okay. Yeah, so as you can see, it says a yellow or copper tone. So they were stating that they could not have a brass error. I'm just trying to see what is all of this stuff. I have no idea. Okay, so they say Native Americans have body here, but they just don't have a lot. So most likely their bodies are going to be covered with a thin layer of peach fuzz here, which means no hair on your legs, on your arm, literally out. I heard it. No hair, right? Like if you do have some type of hair, it's going to be like so light that you're not going to see the hair. And that goes for the men too. They actually say that they don't actually grow their beards really. They said they could grow their beards and mustache like any other race do. And they said but many are usually beardless and choose to groom their facial hair. And many choose to groom their facial hair. Some with full grown beards today, and more often than not. So you see how they're saying they usually don't have any, they usually don't have no hair. They're usually not growing their beard out. It wasn't typical for them to do that, because there'd be more clean cut and things of that nature. Yeah, so we have these Mexico, Canada, the United States. I don't know where Peru comes from, but you could see that was all where, from the apple to the cherry. So it's all red tint people, that should be of that descent. So a lot of people are not going to fall into these categories, right? So now that we got God, right? So mind you, the 12 tribes of Judah, right? I don't want to lose this one. Let me see if I can bring it to the end. I don't know. All right, that didn't work. So, but you can see it says GAD, just like how they spell our tribe, right? Of Native Americans, right? So I'm just trying to explain to you that this is the one group. Now it might be 12 tribes, but mind you, when the Levites are saying that they were appointed some cities, they said God appointed them. So mind you, God could stand for a tribe. So this tribe of people who probably was appointed because, mind you, this is the copper tone people. These are the people of Jack and Boa, of the Solomon, of the empire. You understand what I'm saying? That I believe is being told in a different language. So I'll find exactly who Solomon is, but I believe Solomon and Jacob is of one of the same person. Okay. So anyway, and not Jacob, but King George James, or whoever, King James, whoever it was, because that's Mary's son, and we all know that that's supposed to be Solomon's only daughter. But they said Mary is the daughter of. Let me see. I found out who Mary is the daughter of. She's the only daughter of, I believe. Let me see. She's the only daughter of King. Oh no, Princess Elizabeth. Elizabeth was the only daughter of King James. So King James had a daughter of Elizabeth, and And Elizabeth and Frederick had a prince named of Maurice, which will be of Moses. And I'm not going to continue on from there because, mind you, I know that's why with Uncle Tom's cabin, he went to see in Scotland, I believe it was Victoria, and Victoria is the mother of Elizabeth. So I'm not going to get all into that because I don't want to really start getting into the English royalty bloodline since they have stolen it, and I just want to just give y'all an understanding that most of this is all coming from the direct Jerusalem, because I showed you what the just I was like, oh, they showed you there's going to be a copper place and this and that, and it's only going to fit in this description of these people, of this area, of this place. So anyway, GAD is the spelling of the 12 tribes of the Native Americans, right? And that's how they want to make sure that you know how to pronounce God. So it's capitalized letters, right? So mind you, you got to understand that our capitalized letters stand for literally general anxiety disorder. Remember, I told you we had PTSD, and I'm going to show you exactly all the things that they will have. They said that these people can't sleep. They're restless people. They have PTSD. They are telekinesis. When you have this disorder, now mind you, this stands for GAD, which I already explained to you is the 12 tribes is the Native American tribe. Okay, if and then look how it says North American. It says North American Indians, brother. Like, are you kidding me? Literally from the north, you Indians and them Indian mounds. We're hitting it big, right? Aren't we hitting it big? Wrong people. Wrong people. These people can't. You're not going to get these people in Atlanta, Georgia. You're not going to get these people in North Carolina. You're not going to get these people in Virginia. You're not going to get these people in New York or Mississippi. You're not. I already explained to you that when Kosciuszko was bringing them other slaves, those Aboriginal or dark, wherever they was getting the dark orangey, whatever they called those people, when they was bringing them over here, they tried to do the opie dope in Mississippi, trying to hit the black people. Jefferson and them brought these people and tried to, and then Jefferson had to send that guy back on the low. So something was happening. It was it was what do they call it? I showed y'all already. It was a rebellion of what they were trying to pull here. Okay, so the tribe of God, right? And remember, I told you before that when I saw God, I was like, when I saw when the Israelites were showing it, I was like, that must stand for God, and I didn't even really researched it yet, right? So I said, hey, how do you pronounce God, right? So when you pronounce God, they want to make sure that you say the A in it, right?
God.
Because it's not Go like go, like ball, like goodies, like good, like good, like good. It's God. It's God, right? So if somebody is pronouncing us in Hebrew, right? If they're pronouncing God in Hebrew, right? Who are they talking about? Who is these copper people? Who is jacking? Who are they? What phallus? What penis and sperm are they worshiping here? And Solomon is doing it, not George, not King George, not. So y'all are very confused on the opie dope of the Hebrew and what's going on. And I already told you that Cain don't stop. Cain don't stop at nothing. He's like Pinky in the brain, bro. Homeboy like Pinky in the brain. He gonna be number one regardless. So now you see how he came full circle on everybody? And everybody like, oh, Solomon, the Levy, da da da. It's a trap. It's Solomon leads you to the islands in Oceania. He's not in America. It's nobody named Solomon in America. Okay? We're gonna understand that everything translates into English. And if you look up Solomon, that'll be only men, like D1, that nigga, right? So in English, who does he go head and head with? In English, it seems like Solomon Temple is going to be the same empire of George, right? So it seems like they're going head to head. Or it could be James or whoever. I'm not sure exactly. I haven't really done enough research to say this person is this person. How I've done research on Mikhail and Moses and Joshua. They have a whole book So we're not going to say Jesus over Joshua, right? And they have a whole verse for him that in the language that you want. You can use whatever you like. But you got to understand that the Jesus and the Christ thing, it showed you where it really was stemming from, where it's coming from, and who we're really fighting. Where Egypt really is. Egypt is over on this side where Christ put the crown on Jesus' head to play with his mind. You don't understand that was not like a cool crown. Jesus didn't get the real crown. James did. James got the crown, but or Joshua got the crown. Whoever is because I believe who's the English name? I don't know, but anyway, the point is he got the crown, right? And one of the stories they're royal. Another story they sound like they're stowaways in the Hebrew. In another story they sound like they're being captivated. All right, so this is different areas and different zones of being explained of what it means to them. Okay, so in Mexico, whatever, these people are being once they put this crowning this in this language, it's not a good thing that's going on, and it sounds like a psychological situation going on with that crowning, because Jesus' last name or middle name is going to be Christ. So Christ is a labeling. It's giving just like a last name. Like you can't have two last names. The last name is like my first name is going to say, hey, taking after somebody or understanding where I am. Then the middle name is be probably something that, because I had to pass this name down to you, or we don't want to be confused if we got. Then the last name is like where you're from, what tribe you're from, what people, like if you see this last name, you may want to make sure you're not related. You see what I'm saying? Like, so we got to understand we're not going to have two last names. Some people have two last names because they don't want to take away. And usually they do that because they feel like either their name is important or the other person's name is important. So, I want to keep this, like say if the wife's name is important, they're going to keep both. Or if her name is, that's the only issue. If she feel like her name is important somehow, she'll keep both. And they're hyphenated. Or if I'm from somewhere else and I'm marrying into something, I want to keep my name and I'll marry into probably a different. So here we are hyphenating. In my opinion. So so as we can see, the Native Americans are still exactly what I was advising, right? So and we look at the convent. The convent, it says I believe the convent was written by George Gillespie, right? So with the convent, you gotta understand that George Gillespie, the last name Gillespie, is on the Indian list, like with my grandmother name and all the like Mary Grant and Lily White and all these names that's on the list of like some keeping information of these Indians. Gillespie last name is on there as well, right? So it doesn't say Washington, right? It just says Gillespie. And that's very important because who took over George's throne? Washington did. And this is the British again, where you thought they was helping us, but they really was taking over. And George Washington signed the Declaration and all that in New York. He signed it right away after the war and all that stuff, whatever was happening. So you got to understand that this is kind of like they're taking off the hyphenating of the name. They don't need the Gillespie name no more because now they signed a new law in this where British is now in control. And now their bloodline is taking over. And now we don't no longer have a king, but we have presidency. So the weird part about the presidency is saying, hey, we don't want our bloodline in charge no more. We want to pick people that we feel is responsible. So it's kind of taking our bloodline out by saying, hey, we're not going to have kings no more, first son, bloodline. We're going to put the people are going to be in charge. Now, mind you, that all these new people with these citizenships, it kind of deferred us in a total of being in control of who we're picking as a president. So it's like we got beat in the head, basically. We took a king out and settled for a president, which is where Washington comes in because he can't be a bloodline like a Gillespie. So let me see of the Levites, right? So if God is placing a Levite, a Haitian, to the high priest, right? Doesn't it seem like these people could turn around and hate on us and be like, hey, this is our stuff. And mind you, it says that a Levite cannot own anything. It belongs to the people of Israel, of the Israelites of Israel. So that would be the copper people from America, from Mexico to Canada. Okay, that'd be the people from Mexico to Canada. That'd be the ones that are bloodline inherited. Because you got to understand, a Haitian or a person cannot sit there and say they have any. They're talking about Israel over in Africa. We're talking about the Jerusalem and stuff here. So if they were to go back to that blue black line of Solomon Island, what they're probably their rights to, which comes into World War II. So how Solomon Island is in World War II at the same time. So you see, this is all a scam, y'all. Y'all gotta understand how much of a scam this is. Okay, so this is Oceania right here. Look at the Coral Sea. Did y'all just see that movie Old, where they was trying to get out the coral? And it was like, oh, they're not going to get out the coral. Look at the New Guinea, uh, the Honora, which will probably make them, like, let me see. I can't really, it's not working. Let me see. I'm trying to show you where okay, so this is Australia, which is, you see how they have the Polynesian, the Pacific Indian, these are all the Pacific Islanders, blah, 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 blah. See how it says country of Oceania? So this is the under the sea. This is where they're trying to like steal. I think where Aaron is related to one of these people, and this is like the sea versus the land. Okay, so Solomon is like salmon, like the fish, like he's like of this area. This is him, and we got a treaty with them in like Japanese and English. So something is going on here. When we came over here fighting. I can't literally. And look how South America is like directly in the line of it, right? Because this will be your Atlantis, where everything is like hitting to Australia. I can't. Let me see. Maybe if I make this bigger. This isn't working. Oh, yeah. I don't know what just happened here. This is why I don't do it. If it was my phone, I would be killing it. Okay. But unfortunately, I can't kill it because you see how they're like ripping us off. Look at the Taz. This is Tarzan, George, the fake George of the Jungle area. This is where you're gonna get your Chinese, your white people. Why is it not going? I don't know what I gotta do to get over here. See, like I'm trying to get over here, but it's not letting me. It's like literally stopping right here, and I can't figure it out. Okay, that's not going to happen. This is weird. See, I can't deal with this. No, that's why I don't do it. Okay, so anyway, I was trying to show something, but I don't know what point I was even making anymore because, like, literally fighting with this is, like, so annoying. So, yeah, let me try to show you on my phone because my phone would just show you better. Yeah, so this is the country of Oceania, and you can see that it says for World War II. Okay, my mouth is getting a little rough. Um, Let me, one moment. Let me try to fix my little lipstick up. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so they say from World War II, and that's the same area where the Henderson Field is, where they were supposed to have been having the World War II at. Let me see where it would say all their information. Okay, so you see how it's like, let me see. Where is it at? They trying to be slick. It's here somewhere. I got their ticket. Okay. That's weird. I can't find it now. Okay, here we go. Okay, so, okay. So you see how it's like Australia, and then it's like Papua New Guinea. It's Papua New Guinea, which is like Italian, and you're gonna get to your Polynesian, Indonesians, and then like if you go up higher, you're gonna see is it goes from New Guinea, but it's a small island called New Britain. Okay, so you got the small island called New Britain that where there'll be Britain. This is where your New Britain is coming from. Okay, this is all coming from the Australia area, the Oceania area, the Oceania Pacific Islanders and things of that nature. So let me see. Let me show you how all the people that are there. So it shows you the population is mainly Chinese, European, Polynesian, and Micronesian, which is a melanated. They said the population is mostly Melanesians. Okay. Now I don't know where I read that at. It's probably backwards too. Let me read it. Let me put it in. Let me put it in the backwards way. So we found them, right? And this is what I was already explaining, that, because, the Olmecs or whatever, back in, the South, because this is like Cape something, and then they have Cape Horn over there. So it's just an descendant of, from South America to Australia. It's the same exact people when they start to become like Aboriginal. Because I tell you, when you're having these drugs and things, yes, you could start to translate into a different color, things of that nature, where you can get Aboriginal or white descendant people, or albino, and just turning into that color, going to South Africa and things of that. So yeah, let me just turn this around. Okay, yeah. So they say the Solomon Islands is a nation of hundreds of islands. So this is a nation of hundreds of islands in the South Pacific. Has many World War II era sites. Okay, so we was fighting them, right? All our men was going out there fighting over there. So they're saying that yep, this is for the memorial. I don't know. So if you look down here, let's go down here. It says local culture Solomon Islanders share a diverse history, culture background. The population is mostly of Melanesian descent. So what the hell is a Melanesian? Remember I told you the Melanie name comes from like a Trinidad word of dark skinned woman, of a dark skin. Now mind you, they keep explaining to us that we have a red copper skin. So we know that's not of us, right? We're not of Solomon Islanders. We're not a nation of islands. We're a nation on land, right? So this melanated descents are made up of Polynesians. That's the French Parlez-vous Français, like Young Pharaoh and all of them that like to swing it every way and pretend they're not swinging it every way, and just a lot of women. This means every way. This is poly one it all. Okay? And then we got the Micronesians. I don't know what the hell a Micronesian is, but they sound short. They sound little. They sound real short and little. And then you got Chinese. Here they finally are made. Remember I said I don't know how the hell a Chinese person got here. Here we are. And then it turns into Europeans as well, where you got your New Guinea and the Italian, and you got the New Britain as well, where they're, instead of them being British, they're actually Britain. So you see, this is all people coming from the Bering Strait, and these people right here, or one of these people, are going to pretend they're Indians as well. They're called Amerindians, coming from the Bering Strait. Let me show you. Those people that they show you in a picture are people that's coming from the Bering Strait. So you cannot come from the Bering Strait and be the Native American. The Native American is from here. They're not from the Bering Strait or Africa. Every time they talk about an African American, sometimes they'll say, oh, and also they could be of Native American. So they know it's a separation of the African descent and Native American descent. They know that it's a separation of it. Okay, they could say, oh, you're of African and European. That's what an African American is. Or they don't say in, they say or you could be African of Native American. Like, so African is mixing with some type of European and they mixing with African. Because at some point we had to deal with Simon and them before they became going on to being Canaan back in Latin America and then being a Canaanite in Kemet. Because remember, I told you that the Canaan with a C is going to be in Latin America, like my name Candace. But then my name Candace turns into a K in Africa and Asia. So in Kemet, because Cain was kicked off the land finally, he had to eventually go, and he did not remember. I told you, God, he was like, oh, I can't survive out there. But he had to get the hell off the land. So when he went to Canaan, he was trying to disguise himself. Instead of being black, he went as in white, which is just really the Colombian diaphragm of this drug. And trust me, you're going to get some light and white and things going on like that of you doing that shit, of you doing what you're doing, okay, in the atmosphere and everything. So Cain now has to get the hell off the land past Canaan and the Egyptian situation going on. He's now got the new fake Egyptian stuff going on where he has Seth and he makes Kemet and Cush and it becomes a K. So if somebody has the name Candace and it's spelled with a K, most likely they'll have Japanese or some type of melanated Asian descent in their lives, which I kind of showed you how Kimio said they're swafty, blah, 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 because they are of Eve. All of this is of Eve. It's like, so anyway, and Eve is not going down all the way to Aboriginal, but she is of like more like the Washington Murs, like they look more Caribbean, but then it goes more down and it kind of gets monkey like, and that could be for any race. Sometimes it don't even be black, it be more white people, or like the people I'm showing you, where it's like those phenotypes are coming out, and they're usually from a certain region where a lot of monkeys derive from. So anyway, that's beside the point. Okay, I'm going to continue to do the evolution because you never know if they continued on and continued on. I mean, come on, it was no bug in here earlier, and now here comes a bug. But what could you do? That's what I really have. So just proving that the Native Americans are literally God, we are all that stuff. And they already say that God only speaks to one tribe and he only hears one, they hear him. And that's because we have a general anxiety disorder, and that incorporates into having telekinesis. And I can show you where they're explaining that stuff to you guys. Like all of it is there. And they explain to you the Levites might have had got appointed to some stuff by God, but they can't own nothing. So no matter if they're trying to reclaim whatever, only person that could reclaim would be of an American. And if you see where they're saying George Gillespie is no Washington. So when the Washington comes in, you can't have two last names. And these are two different last names. One name would take you to one area, and another name would take you to who was coming in upon us from British Columbia, and all their connections to the melanated Asian, which is of course the same people, the same people from Trinity and from Jamaica that was coming over here telling us to go back to Africa with these stories or whatever, because a lot of people from our area on the west was getting snatched up and bothered, and it looked like we were trying to help them and bring them in, and we were getting swallowed in without knowing. And I believe we were getting tricked with some of these people from like Scotland or whatever when it comes to like Elizabeth and all that, because if you look at the names, it gets very tricky with the royalty of these names of the Bible when it translates into English. So I'm going to have to probably continue this on another day because I don't know who's still with me. I know I read off a lot of times, but just showing like with the Native American details and all the names that falls into place. And of course, all those names are in my direct family, so it does mean something to me because like literally like all my brothers in them names are all of these names of these princes and stuff. So it's just weird that all of us have these direct names, and it's like we don't rear off and have different names. It's like literally. I just keep seeing this like it's like a bug in here now. I'm gonna have to try to figure out how to kill it. Yeah. So anyway, just to show the anxiety disorder where they were saying yeah, so as you can see they have this memorial there. Yeah, they have this memorial of saying Solomon's peace memorial in Japanese war. Okay, so this is where we're fighting the Caribbeans and all those people. And something really like this is like all a part of it because it's all together. So you can see that Solomon isn't so long ago. They make it seem like it's 2,000 years ago, but this is literally probably like in literally the 1600s. And the 1600s turned into the 1800s because they did some weird stuff. Like, let me prove my point with like the brass because I said like, hey, is it a brass era, right? Because we're all brass and this and that. So, and I could think of like, yeah, maybe the golden era, but I was like, well, what is brass? Because they always talk about brass at the very beginnings. At the very beginnings, they make it very clear that it's brass and copper and stuff like that, right? So I said, well, was there ever a brass era? And they were like, no, only because it was nobody around to witness it. It was before you people. So only time they said it was prehistory. It was prehistory. So they said I said what I asked, I said, when did the brass ever start? Like was there ever a brass ever? They said no, there was no brass ever. Because for many years it was not easy to make brass. Before the 18th century, now we're in the 1800s. Now, mind you, all of this stuff happens in the 1900s. So now we could finally get to like the 1800s and it's us there, right? And they're saying that in the 1800s, zinc metal could not be made since it melts at 420 and boils at. So they said that it was hard to reduce the oxidide and the coral in it, right? So it says, what is the history behind brass? It says history, although forms of brass have been used in. So they're saying it was being used. But since prehistory, before they were able to start being a Jehovah Witness to it, or before they was able to start witnessing the Jehovah's, the J's, before they was able to start witnessing us, they said its true nature as a copper zinc alloy was not understood until after post medieval period. So they're saying this shit was being used, but people couldn't understand it until after the medieval, after they tore us up, after they stole and the fires and because that's after medieval, right? So they said that it was its true nature. They couldn't understand it until the post medieval period because the zinc vapor, which reacted with copper to make brass, was not recognized as metal. So you see, this brass will be a prehistory of in something difficult to work with, right? Okay, so yeah, that's really what I have. Yeah, and I did want to try to go over other things, but I don't know. I'm not gonna have any time. Did y'all see the picture of this little girl? I believe her name was Super Peach, and everybody was talking about her area over here. So people are starting to catch on now. People are starting to catch on. Everyone knows this is not normal. Everyone, she's a hermaphrodite. I believe these are hermaphrodites, or in my opinion, as you can see, the whole comments was about her panties. All the comments, they were like, she's packing more than me. They were like, she's packing more than me. Wait, what was that? Somebody else said, y'all know why y'all posted this. They said somebody said she must got her box beat out. I mean, how much could it got beat out for it to be like that? Somebody says something must be in her panties. Nah, that's just what they doing out here. This is what they doing out here. And then she'll wait till she get a boo job, and then y'all think she was a real girl at some point. Okay, so yeah, because it's the Transformers. All those people in Solomon Island, in my opinion, will be okay with with the same sex. Like that, I believe that everybody that's the Chinese, like not saying every single one, but majority of their culture is a part of the gay world, and they don't really focus on women. They phallus worship, because that Solomon's temple is phallus worshiping. Clear as day, I showed you he's worshiping Jackson, Joshua Jackson from Dublin, Ireland. Like it's clear what they're doing here. So all we're trying to do is prove that we're the Native Americans. Once we prove that we're the Native Americans, which is obvious at this point, where it goes down to the description, even with Jesus Christ, when they say, "Oh, Jesus Christ here is a wolf," or he was light burnt. Light burnt means that he's just a little bit darker than what the tint is, because we're mixing with the British at this point now, because they're over here and they're being weird and they're starting to intermix with us on our borderlines. So this is all that really was representing, is that it was an intertwining of people probably, and these Scotland people probably are the British or whatever, because they're obviously these accents that they have is stemming from like a West Indian Caribbean kind of accent, whether it was Scottish, whether it was like I said, beef, St. Patty's, beef patties, it's all the same stuff. They're all they're a nation of islands, and they have a treaty in English and Japanese for peace with us, obviously, because we're the world war. Who's fighting World War II but us and fake white people that's pretending they fighting, but that's really where they're from, right? That's where Europeans and Chinese people and all of them are deriving from. So now we're having a great understanding of how is two separate black people with their groups. Our 12 tribes, and of course, when you get the Haitians, you gotta understand that these people are deriving from, as they say, Dominicans. But you gotta understand, in Dominica, when they came and they came and invaded back there, and not where we were at in North America, but back in the back areas, it was Hispaniola before. So you gotta understand that they came and invaded it, and you know, these Haitians are part of the African Zulu migration of the merge, whatever. And I don't know if they're ever really from here. They're more up towards Alaska, and that's including them into the Solomon Islands nation more than it would be over here. So you'll see it be like a blue black, not a cherry black. So anyway, that's all I really have. We kind of like get where I'm going with this. I'm gonna have to continue it on another day, showing the signs of the GAD, the God, the the North American people, of what our anxiety disorders were. I already told you that we suffer from PST, and it shows you that we are not lying. That's why they labeled us all of that, because we are the one tribe that hears God, and we have all these fucking superpowers, and it's no fucking joke. We are the creators of the cities and all that. That's why we are able to appoint a Levite and put in the contract signed by a Gillespie, not a Washington, not of an Indian, Native Indian name, signing off and writing into these things of the Bible, King James. We see that James is clearly, of our, on our side. So yeah, that's what I have so far. I wanted to show other things, but I just can't find the definitions of everything. Just trying to like explain as much as I can. Yep. Yeah, so that's all I really have. As you can see, all this stuff is just all the celebrities. You just try to cancel them. You see, they stole my little slogan, my little movement. But hopefully, I can try to get more T-shirts made, and people can actually try to wear them. They're actually not so bad. They're like kind of cute, and like they're like cute in the back and stuff like that. I did like do like a little cute braid thing on the side, just to spruce the shirt up. So, I try to make more shirts, and if people want to have it like designed or whatever the case may be, just the movement is more important. I just want to see this being said outside so people can understand that it's a change. All these people dying recently, like, they're not dying of CVI 123 no more, right? So it's just like, can't we try to figure out what they're dying from so we can stay safe from that? Because we're trying to stay safe from CV 123, but literally people are dying every other day from other things that they're not explaining specifically on what is this that you're dying from. Because they're just dropping out there. Like, females and males are just dropping. They're like, oh, rest in peace to this God baby mother. Rest in peace to this. So it's just like, and you see that they say that they will either repent or perish. So you can kind of see that they're trying to fulfill the Bible because it's in their Hebrew. They're trying to fulfill what they believe that you have to fulfill it or you'll be discovered as a fraud. Because this is a prophecy of something that was already being told, but they're telling it in their own. People have hijacked it. Jack. Well, you're always going to hear Jack, like Jack in my style, Jack and like, yeah. So they have hijacked the Jackson dream, the American dream of the Jackson or the Virginia Jack, whatever the Jackson means. I don't know exactly what it means, but it's obvious that it's kind of like, meaning something of like a holiness of a high, of a preacher or whatever the case may be, of a direct descendant. And these names are very important or, very, very royal. Like they have Frederick with Mary, and we know Frederick just like Frederick Douglass. So it's just like, I'm going to go over the royal name. I'm trying to get like a list and go over all the royal names and things like that. So, and then try to match them with other names and see that you could literally see that it's kind of like the same time frame. They're just confusing you with their time frames. And you're thinking it's like this time frame, but in English, it will be 16 something, but yet they medieval skips 200 years and then they end up at 1850. So we got to start saying 1850 and not 1600s because 1600s is when things started. That's when the scam started to take place. So we're unaccounted for 200 years, but in there, if you go beyond the negative spectrum of scientific method, it'll be 2,000 years times 10. So you can see that Jesus and all these stories are not too long ago. They're like 4, 5 fathers ago. Okay? So it'd be like great, like 2 or 3 greats. And then we can't really probably get any information about those people that far back because of the 200-year rip out of the book. Like, they ripped out. So you wouldn't really probably get past your great. You wouldn't get to your starting into your forefathers. You'll be probably getting into your second father and not your third and your fourth, where it started to begin at, your forefather, your fourth, where they started ripping out the fourth and the second, and then the third and the fourth confused as fuck, and then you got us going forward, and everybody's starting to mix now, and then they're trying to like confuse us with who has the right and who doesn't, because Cain is still trying to be number one in a place that they say he should not be. They said, you can't be number one here, nigga. And he said, well, I'm Pinky in the Brain. And this nigga done did all this revelation and be like, look, the Levites is back. Don't kick us out of America. We and they're not like they're already perishing. Because I'm confused at all of this, because if the Levites are the Haitians, why are they getting kicked out? While most of these people that are perishing, kicked out or whatever, are of Haitian descent or of Caribbean, one of the Solomon Island descent people. Like, I don't know, they're all going to be mixed with something like of that. Because they were probably doing things. And I believe that they're asking them, hey, do you want to go to jail and have this label? And you'll probably have to sign up as, a child offender, whatever, or die, or get, because that's like the ultimate no. And if they're going by the Bible, if they're going over a higher law, these certain group of people that they're because they're going to be a part of this other, they're following like this royalty. They got to follow these codes, right? Don't they have to uphold these certain kind of duties and this and that which they're bullshit. They're not really doing what they're supposed to do. But they're supposed to be, because this is what's keeping them in place of, so you're supposed to be performing your duties or doing whatever you're supposed to do, serving the Most High directly, because you could hear him and he could hear you. But yet these people have, in their Catholic Roman culture, a sin booth where you could go and tell your sins, like as if, like, oh, now I'm good for till next week, like, I'm good for 7 days or something, like, because they're repenting every 5 seconds. Like, no, that's not the way it works. So they think that, yeah, we are advising everyone come as is, right? The New Testament is going to allow everyone in here, right? But you have to be of serving God. So you see the problem here? They're playing a weird game here, and this is why people are getting kicked out, and the laws is not allowing them to get to those points of them constantly trying to make this what they believe in, what their culture believes in, which is love who you want to love and this and that and that. And it's like, okay, but you still got to abide by the laws of what's going on here. So when you're doing certain things, it's like, yes, you could love who you love, but you may have to take it past Mexico. You may have to take it up that way, depending on what you're trying to love, because you do still have to follow the law. This is the law here. 360 Adam is the Supreme Court. Like, you're going down for drugs, any money laundering, that's the highest court, because they're taking down these kind of criminals that live great lives, because they're not living regular, they're not working 9 to 5. They're doing, they're the ones handling a lot of things, and that's how they keep their order. We have different orders of court. We have the criminal court, but we have the highest one, which is on 360, which is 360 Adam. And you got to understand that 360 is not really a bad thing. 360 is not 36. 360 is a full circle. So when you see these people praying, a lot of these people, I keep itching my nose because, like, I feel like I got allergies going on right now. But anyway, when you see people praying from other countries, especially like in, let's say, in the Muslim, in Afghanistan and things like that, they literally praying every other 5 minutes, right? They're literally getting on their knees and praying and putting their head down, which is basically saying, look, you get on your knees and you pray and you praise me to show for your sin. You see what I'm saying? When we pray, when people from Native American, whatever, like, from America, from the South, when we pray before we eat, or we pray before we go to bed. And usually it's to bow your head. It's usually to bow your head. You don't really have to get on your knees and pray, or bow your head to the floor and pray. So that's just showing what's going on, right? So I'm going to get to that. Also, with the 360 Adam, is because we're going full circle. It's going to come full circle back to Adam, no matter what, right? So 360 is the circle. So usually when we do pray or something, usually it's best to, hold your hands, so we all connect as one. The Spirit, God, everyone is going to be there as one, right? Now you're in one unison, which is what they expect of you in the Most High, whatever, right? It's supposed to be like this, that pie chart where it's like God, parent, God, blah, blah, blah. Like, just like you become your parent, it's like grandparent, parent, child, and you become your parent or whatever. Like, same thing, like God. So when you come 360 to your end, now you're in the position of grandparent. So you play all roles. So you come 360, you come full circle. So anyway, when you think of that in Afghanistan, they say that Moses had got the 10 Commandments from Mount Sinai. So when you look up the word Sinai, it stands for Sin AI. So they're saying basically this is Sin AI, which is artificial intelligence, which is the computer. And this is how the Chinese and those people try to keep up with us. And also through artificial insemination, where the male sperm is being taken and being inserted into a woman without the male actually being here. So this is all in sin. So that's what Mount Sinai is representing. So don't you understand that? Like, is it kind of understanding that the fiber technology of we always have a technology where it's of shareable, which is why the phones is probably so big and things of that nature. But when they started to take that away and say, hey, we can sell this, and we're going to make it all cute and personal and make it smaller and nano. So now we're in nanotech, which is their tech. They're able to move and do things in small, personalizing things. When we need bigger, like woofers. We're in mega and things like that. They're in nano. So when we're using little nanotech things, it's all them and their nanofibers. So yeah, so you gotta understand that they're kind of like they're it's like an invasion. It's like an invasion, if that makes any sense. Like, so they're invasion into the artificial intelligence, and they're invading into the artificial insemination, and that's probably why they're constantly in prey, in because it's kind of like you're asking for forgiveness every hour for what? You understand what I'm saying? So that's that. And it's because they're all living in sin, because this is Cain. This is Cain, the Canaan, being kicked off and now going to the land of Nod, of nothing, of nothing. That's why most of these rich people be like, "Oh, I came from nothing. Look at my circumstances." It's like, bro, they are not entitled to anything here. They're not by lineage, and then they'll say, "Oh, well, they said that they in the Bible they said they were going to slave us by ships, but they didn't say like boats, because in America we're being slaved by citizenship." So that can mean citizenship. Like they're like, oh, so they're trying to take the narrative and run with it and put us back in Africa. So these people, the Israelites, or the people, some of these Israelites, their objective of saying, hey, we're originally coming from Africa is not true, because the Dominican brother that you have is from here, is from America, more Americanized, and that's why Dominicans have more American names like Elizabeth, or and just look out how Dominicans come from here to Africa, because like Africa is an extension of them going there, and then you got Johannesburg. So it's like an extension from the Dominicans with the Johanna and the Johan or whatever. And that's from them stemming from an American line. So anyway, that's beside the point, but that's just showing how they're island hopping and things of that nature and coming back on one spectrum. But when you go past that, when you go in Africa and you go in certain parts of Latin America, you're so close to the equator that you become of birth, not like, but now you're on top of now in a situation where they're considering themselves cursed, because they're no longer of the same line. They're now in melanated ocean. They're now in another realm, another world. They're in Sea World. Okay, and these are the same people coming to Seattle, and these are the same, and they came in the 1850s, and that's where remember that thing when I showed you a long time ago, where they went into the cemeteries of all those like little feathers and the Baphomet head. That was in Seattle, and you couldn't find nothing beyond like the 1850s. And then you saw something like 16 something. It was like, remember, it was like little things that was like outside of a big like the Coliseum things where you could put like people. I forget what they call them things. The asylum, whatever, where you could put dead bodies inside like a house or whatever, where they stone it or whatever. So anyway, so you can see like that's like an upscale version of what they be trying to do out there. But this is like way different, where you could buy the Coliseums, whatever them things are called, mausoleums or whatever. So that one you can see like some of them are like from the 1600s, but then it goes from 16 to like 1850. And you can't see nothing beyond it. It's like the 1900s and going on from there. So yeah, so this is the same situation, because like they're coming from Australia and this area, going back from these back areas, Madagascar, all these things, and then they're coming up from Latin America through the passageway from there also, and then they could come also through the Bering Strait, because it all leads to that Oceania, and over in, I told you, once you get to like Iceland and all that, those are all an accumulation of islands. They're all islands. Even Europe and all that is all surrounded by water. There's no real land mass supporting them. It's only America that has land. This is the nation of this. Why is the 12 tribes here? And they include Armenians and things like that, but you gotta understand that they are an extension of an extension, because it's 3 brackets. So anyway, yeah, so we had the 12 tribes, but unfortunately the 12 tribes started to make other tribes. and they stuck. Somebody is stuck. It's Moni in the middle. Somebody's in the middle. It's a monkey in the middle. It's somebody's in the middle, and they done made something else, and now we got 3 things going on instead of 2. So yeah, and we are just watching. We're just like we don't really care about much. We're not sweating people being here. It's just that it's not a fairness, and we don't worry about a fairness because our God will fight for us. So He gonna straighten everything out. So we just don't say nothing. If you're supposed to be here, you're gonna be here, and if not, you're not. And we don't worry about nothing like that. Like that's not something that we worry about because they already know that He gonna figure it out, and they gonna get you together. You're gonna get put together. You know what I'm saying? So we don't have to worry about those things. But we do concern ourselves on the laws and what you should be doing, who's in authority, who's not in authority. We do like to tend to get involved. We do like to stick our little turtlenecks out and mind people business and things of that nature because of reason why we have to do it. And that's why we got that anxiety going on. Yeah, so it just like with let me just see here. One moment. Yeah, so anyway, I'm not gonna continue on because I'm gonna have to explain other things. I just wanted to see if I could do one more thing, if I'm not missing anything with like yeah, so that's what I'm gonna stop there. Yeah, so that's I'll continue on my history, of course, and I'll try to do more twin videos, but I just haven't had time to really, cause like I'm just so over the celebrities right now. It's not, like I'm just so over the celebrities. It's not even funny. Like you see how they're trying to be funny with Justin Bieber. Like he's literally not even a real person.
God. I wanted to update you guys on what's been going on. Obviously, as you can probably see,
No way your eyes could do that. No way your eyes could do that.
I have syndrome called Ramsey Hunt syndrome.
He don't even remember. He don't even remember. He don't even remember his own. Like, bro, that's important. Your eye is rolling back and it's moving. One eye moving, and he couldn't even remember the name of it.
Artificial intelligence or alternate synthetic that attacks the nerve in my ear, my facial nerves, and has caused my face to have problems.
Hey, IMCs, how you? I expose MCs. What's up? Hey, hoodies. What's up, girl? Hey, China girl. I peeped the beta. Okay, what the hell is that? Okay, don't know what the hell that means, but yeah. What's up, everybody that's here? And yeah. So, do you see this? I expose. Like literally, they put like a robot in his place now. Like I can't believe that they're literally putting him up here to say that, and he has his eye glitching and stuff. It's like literally the artificial intelligence, artificial insemination, synthetic, whatever they did over there. Because mind you, they said that they do bombs over there, right? On the Japanese. Supposedly nuclear bombs was thrown on them, whatever. Even though I think all the bombs was thrown on us. Because we do like shooting and all that, but the bombs usually come from the Chinese. They're the ones throwing from mad far away, blowing you up because they don't even want to come and shoot because they so weak. You know, they Micronesians. They micro. So but they supposed to have thrown bombs there. And it supposedly had affected the people that were still alive with like messed up arms and this and that and all kinds of like mutations. So, I don't know what kind of games they playing over there and why Justin Bieber eye and face is like what it was. But it's clearly that they're playing games with these people. I don't know if they have like an expiration date. Because some of these people that's probably perishing and dying is probably like fake synthetic AIs and the body just drops out. Like Like if you saw the movie with Denzel, you know Denzel plays us, right? You see how he plays the equalizer too, right? How Denzel is like the person that pops up and he helps white girl, anybody that needs help that is a part. So you got to understand that we might not deal with people in the kingdom. We might push them away, but if they are really in need of help and are willing to be what they have to be, yes, they will get assisted. So, yeah, so if the equalizer is helping, certain people, like you can't do certain things here, period, cool. And so the movie with Denzel where he plays I don't know the movie. What is it's not the Bone Collector. It was a movie where he had oh my god. And it was like spirits and stuff like that, and and he kept touching him. And anytime you touch him, the spirit would come into you, whatever. And it had a certain amount of time before that spirit could die, and he would be going forever. So I just feel like that movie, because they put Denzel in a lot of stuff for a reason. So I feel like that movie is very telling of like the transition of the conscious, because you got to understand that the conscious and everything is of one. So, you may think of when you have an out of body experience when you're sleeping, sometimes you feel like you're somewhere. It's because your spirit is a one, and it's their time to be up. You understand what I'm saying? So you may be like, oh, where was I at? Your spirit went to a different time frame and was doing things that you're looking like, what was that about? But it was something that you recognize. So it's something you've been before or know before, because you wouldn't even been able to be there. Your spirit would not even have been able to travel here. So we understand that the conscious transferring could be accurate. It could be very accurate of what they're doing with this Mount Sinai thing, right? Where like where Chucky goes on to like the mountain or whatever, or somewhere at the top, and put his hand on the little boy head and wanted to take his body. Like, he had to do this like sermon at the top of the mountain. So I wouldn't be surprised if like we're there, this like being in Mount Sinai and getting this message to the Hebrews, meaning of like some type of, like they said, it's like some type of sin or auto if so he's getting like the messages, and this is the messages that he may be receiving. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to explain all of that stuff right now to make it make sense. I try to tie things up together with stuff I find, and sometimes it's so much stuff in here that I can't even like literally put it together well. But you could see like the Under the Sea, the Ariel thing where he had his kingdom, and then the prince when they come out of the water. It's really a kingdom of princes and queens. It's not really like what they had under the water with the Titan, because that's with Solomon and with the Haitian, with the Levites and stuff. That's the covenant that we're trying to have. This is a peace. This is a covenant that we're trying to have with them. So anyway, I'm gonna come back and try to speak about this whole tie it all in together at another time. But you could see clearly that I can explain some of the stuff with like Native American and God and things, and I'm like, oh, it's like I have the Raven Simone, like you see, like with the equalizer, right before he was about to get into drama, everything slowed down and he was able to see everything, and things like his spider senses started to kick in. So they're trying to show you how Denzel has all these abilities and things like that when it comes to the equalizer. And anyway, my nose is itching so much, literally gotta go because my allergies bothering me. So yeah, like, share, and subscribe, guys. I hope you guys didn't fall asleep. I hope I'm not putting some people to sleep. I know that it's like a certain group of people that enjoy my little lives, so that's why I try to come up and show up for you guys. And I'm gonna get this together. Okay, let me wait. Every time I learn it, I swear I forget it. Like, and I don't know why. Okay, they're like, because I usually do it like this, but it's like a way where they do it now. I think it's like this, right? It's okay, whatever. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm gonna just keep doing that then. Because if I'm gonna look retarded, it might as well. But anyway, yeah, so I just try to show up and hopefully every Monday if possible. And try to give out my little bit of information of making sure that certain group of people gotta understand certain things. And this is not for everybody. And I do try to talk about celebrities. Celebrities is for everybody. It's not for us. They keep us off of the platforms. And obviously they keep us out of history as well. Because when they try to argue about the white man, they'll also call him the red man. And you gotta understand that the white man is not red. He turns red when he's upset or whatever, just like anybody else would turn red. We're talking about people that has a red tint to them without getting upset. Without when you see, and then it's gonna be something where they show you, it says with the people that has this the Native American, they have an aura. It describes telekinesis, aura, PSD. It describes so many things, and I just can't find it right now. But it's just obvious that like the stuff that I mentioned, it goes hand in hand with the Native American description and the GAD tribe. And them being the actual chosen ones, because it's only one people. They didn't say all 12 tribes. They said one. They said one. Number one. Number one. It only could be one. It starts with Adam. It comes full circle with Adam. It's only one. It's only he. It's he. Luke, I am your father. And I showed you what that guy looked like. And that guy looked like my daddy. And my daddy got last name Jackson. And he from Virginia. And I'm trying to explain to y'all that blue-eyed, red and all that stuff, they may be talking about us. They may be trying to be funny with us. You see what I'm saying? So you gotta really be careful when they be like that blue-eyed devil, because my mother had 3 sons, 4, whatever. Not saying whatever, but 3 sons, right? So her first son came out with blonde hair, blue eyes. You know what I'm saying? And he didn't get it from my mother, even though my mother's mother has gray eyes. Mary had gray eyes. She's a light skinned woman. But anyway, that's beside the point. He got it from his daddy, because you are of your father. And of course, my father had gray eyes and things of that nature, and he had a golden copper look. And my brother came out very yellow, gold, like blonde hair, blue eyes. And then my other brother that came after him was more of a darker skinned complexion. So it would just be saying, this is the same mother, same father. You see what I'm saying? So it's just like saying that, oh, this guy, he born blind. It could be, yes, the same black person could have had a light-skinned baby that they favoring over, pawning over, like, because it happens. I mean, I'm telling you what my family dynamic is. You could tell probably most likely when I go to my family, when I was going to like my family, the things, they had mad pictures of and it's maybe because he's the oldest, but it was more pictures of him than it was. I didn't even see no pictures of me, and then it was like of everybody. So it's like, yes, favoritism happens with the same mother and father, and it could be blonde and blue eyed, and then of hella light skin, and then of a brown dark with regular phenotype, because that's what we create. We create a lot of human brass type, and if that brass human copy, you see how they give you a nice description of it, because that's what we got going on as humans. And then when you get to the island people, they are doing more black and white, okay? And the black people stem from the red, because it's a crossing line of dark red cherry to blueberry, and that's the Caucasus area of black, of death, or whatever, because they become a little bit of racist in that area. So it could be harder when they become of Canaan and they become white, and then you have to deal with all of the intermixing of that back end. It'll be more of an issue for them back in that back end than it will be over here, where we are more of alike and of sticking up together, because it's a big tribe. These tribes are not as big as the Native American tribe. The Native American tribe stems from Mexico all the way to Canada, and they're being Pacific, because that was where the whole Indian, before the people from the Bering Strait, British Columbia, and the Columbians are entotering us from around of the islands that circulates. Okay, so I'm supposed to be getting out of here. Yes, guys, I know y'all not trying to keep me even longer, right? I know y'all ready to go to sleep, so let me get out of here. I started off late, and I tried to get here as fast early as I could. But I hopefully you guys be here next week with me, and I can go on and on and on about this topic. I am going to start off with like some celebrity stuff and maybe some twin stuff, and then I'm going to go into history, because I really don't want to stick on celebrities anymore like that, because if you have not gotten the memo that they're not only are there all descendants of probably Solomon Island people, like Polynesian, right? They're not understanding that they're all related to that, or if they are of our descent or something, or however they got in, it's still a very tight situation that they have going on where the average regular person is not ever going to be a part of it. And I don't understand why would you support or do anything with that, especially when they are just deterring us from what's actually really going on here, which we're inherently rich. All of this is our resources. We should not be paying or going through any of the things that we're going through, having all this anxiety and stuff like that to our day-to-day lives when we know we have a bigger calling than what we are doing. Okay, so anyway, I'm gonna end it on that because I have to like I don't think if I don't know if I got bit or something, but I feel like I gotta wash my face. So like, share, and subscribe, and enjoy you guys' night. And see you guys later. Have a good night. Hey, Frida M, I'm glad you made it in here, girl, and everybody that came. You already know DC Hodge. You always hold me down at the very beginning. Frida M, you always here. I expose MC. I'm so happy that you could make any of my lives. I saw your last live, but I did watch it after because during that time I'm working. But yeah, I did see your last live and I did catch it after, unfortunately. But I do watch it. I watch all your videos, and just if you haven't already checked out I Am Exposed MCs, check him out because he is partially hopefully half-heartedly of the reason why I have so much of people to come and see my videos and keep me going. So shout out to him, and shout out to anybody else that has a page. I know that it's a lot of people that have pages that I'll be like, oh, I forgot to shout them out, like Gambino Family. Always, go check out some of his videos. He's definitely some, people that I relate to, that I feel like I do this for. We all are part of the same tribe, being from America, and also, if you're not probably like of native, if you're part of the 12 tribes, if you're, from America and you do believe in the same things that we're believing in and not of the sin, it's just two things going on. So it's either you're somewhat in the middle or you're on one end or the other. So hopefully that, most of these videos, it helps put people into, on the good end, where if you're here, that's where you belong. Whether you're, part of the tribes or not, being here, you're supposed to subject yourself a certain way, and things are supposed to be fair. So we do have to start figuring out the fairness here. That's what's really important. So thank you, Whitney Views, for being here. Yeah, uh, yeah. So the brass anklets. Yeah, I believe that, Jackson. That's a good point, and that's why I sometimes I see these comments after I get off, and I'll be like, oh my god, I wanted to like these are some good comments, but I'm all the way back there, and I don't like being this close because it's like I don't have like a seat that matches, and this is the best seat I got. So anyway, yeah. So I did look up the Jackson name. It's very used, but it mainly is filled out in America. The Jackson name is filled out here, and then it does extend other places. But it resonates here. It doesn't. The Jackson name would never take you to a certain area of like Britain, like say Harris. That would take you to Great Britain. Like T.I. last name being Harris would take you over there to England. Last names like Brown. Brown is another benign name. Not saying that people can't be from here, but it's just that name. It's kind of like maybe you could kind of find the surnames. I did look up a lot of surnames, and it does tell you where some things are originating from. And Jackson is originating from America, and it does take off everywhere. It's like the number one username in the world, besides I believe Smith. But Jackson would be the number one most used name in the world. Yeah, I just want to just breeze over. Hey, ARF International. Thank you for being here. I do appreciate anyone that comes, and I do want anyone to drop any comments on anything that they may be able to advise me or give me some information, and maybe I could go on and also try to give my opinion on it. Yeah, yeah, so yeah, Kevin Gates, it seemed like he was trying to threaten me. I'm not sure because he was like literally in New York acting weird, and then I said what I said about him. So, and I'm sticking to it. He's definitely playing the role of Rennie Ritchie, and that's why they tried to start like this beef or act like he's not with her. It was just a lot of weird things going on. Um, yeah, and then like the Jackson, like how the Jackson mother had like all those children, and like with the queens and them, they used to have like 13 children. So they used to have a lot of children in these royal families. Yeah, so thank everybody for being here. I really can't go over all of these because I do want to get out of here, but I do love you guys and I will try to come back next week. Like, share, and subscribe. Try to like the video as much as you can so it could be suggested. And, of course, cancel them. As you can see, they are stealing my swag. Little Durk tattoo literally is a replica of what my movement is. And I guess his movement is telling them not to snitch. But as you can see, most of these things they get in trouble for, it has a lot to do with child in human trafficking. So yes, you should, if you see something, say something on these people, and yeah, like let's just try to detach from all of this and try to come together somehow and be more active, probably in meeting people, maybe like be having link up things, or I don't know, like it has to be more activities besides being in the meta world, because this is what the with the sins and stuff does also include. It includes all of this. This is somewhat of a sin to have this technology, and it's for reasons, because this occupies a lot of in-person time. So yeah, like my videos as much as you can so it could try to get suggested and pushed out, and share as much as you can as well. So I can probably try to get more traffic to get anybody that maybe could understand what I'm trying to say, and if they have anything to add to it or have anything for me to try to explain even better, I can always try to give my opinion as best as I can on what I'm trying to explain. But I do try to back it up with articles so that you can see that it's not something that I'm just coming and saying, "Hey, we're number one and we're this, we're that." It's because it's a reality, and I want people to understand that it's a reality. It's not I'm trying to be, and then they tell you that these people, everybody else is literally jealous. Now, I'm not saying that people are really jealous. But if you understand that God is saying I'm only talking to one people, and this is you're in control, and you're this and that, yes, a jealousy will occur. It's a jealousy somewhere around where these people say it's me and it's saying it's me, but it's specifically telling you who it is. So this is why we get kicked out of everything. No one wants to talk about us. We're not. The red people is this. The red people is the white people. This and that. So we're constantly we're pushed into a category of black or white. We have to be pushed into a category of black and white where we know that it's a brass, it's a copper, it's a this and that, and we were originally here, predated, prehistory, before you got here to watch us and talk about us and say whatever you got to say, to your witnessing. Because this is all of a witness of real stuff that's happening. That's what this Bible is about. This is real events. This is real situations, real pat. Like, yo, this is their stuff. This is what that's about. Like this is that, and you gotta follow this because this belongs to you. So we got people that snatching it up, they changing it into a Catholic thing, putting on like some type of a crown, a psychology crown, a barbed wire around your mind. Okay, so yeah, I'll pick this back up next Monday, guys. Enjoy. Have a good night. I'm out.